Hello and welcome back to Daily Weekly Builds. Now, as you can see, I have the LEGO Star Wars 75347 TIE Bomber, which released last year back in 2023. Kind of to tie in for, well, obviously the Return of the Jedi 40th anniversary, but it also made appearances in The Mandalorian Season 3 as well. As for the minifigures, we have Vice Admiral Sloane, Darth Vader, a TIE Bomber pilot, and everyone's favourite Gonk Droid. And on the back of the box it shows you some other interior features, some play features, and some side builds. That's nice to see. Inside the box we have 4 numbered bags, no sticker sheet and 1 large instruction booklet, and don't forget to scan the QR code on the instructions to earn 20 insider points with the LEGO Builder app. This set has 146 steps over 104 pages, and once you're finished you're left with these spare parts. Nothing too exciting there. Then there's your studs for your stud shooters, but these spare parts are a little bit more interesting. A spare blaster, a nice printed tile, Darth Vader's part of his helmet and his hilt there as well, and then we've got the TIE Bomber. Plus, there was a brick separator included, and you know, the minifigures as well. We'll take a close look at those in a moment. First up, let's take a look at the TIE Bomber pilot minifigure. Pretty standard for TIE pilots of any kind, to be honest with you. No arm printing, they only save that for UCS models, don't they really? But we do have leg printing, and a little bit on the hips as well. Nice printing on the chest there, although it's a bit flat in terms of its graphic design. Like, I mean, you can see the light shining off it, but there's no like metallic printing in there. Well, is there? There might be a little bit, but not as much as I would have thought, and there's nothing on the legs, that's just grey. On the back again, just basic plain printing, but it's pretty fine. Underneath, typical angry face, no alternate face, because the part of it can see through the back of the helmet, and you just always have the helmet on with these guys, wouldn't you? So they could have just gave us a black head instead of one with an actual face on it, which probably would look nicer around the back, but faces like this are just more usable, I think. And then the printing for the helmet looks, well, looks how it looks really, you know. There's not too much to say about it because they haven't really changed the design all that much, and it's got like a classic feel to it, I feel like. Next up we've got Admiral Sloane here, nice uniform, pretty basic. Is there any metallic printing on this? Or perhaps? Yeah, there is some on the badge as well. That's pretty nice. Does she have an alternate face? No, she does not. I guess that's okay. It's kind of a smug grin almost. Does come equipped with a blaster. Printing around the back just to continue the design around the front, and no leg printing for her. So just a basic minifigure, but you know, who's going to say no to more minifigures in sets? Not me. But perhaps the coolest minifigure in this set is Darth Vader. Although he is not exclusive to this set, I believe you can get the same one in the Tantive 4 hallway diorama playset they've come out with, and the Darth Vader mech, and I think it probably came out as well in, was this the one in the Emperor's Throne Room set with Luke and the Emperor? Potentially, I can't quite remember off the top of my head, but this is probably one of the best versions of Darth Vader we've gotten. It does have the soft fabric cape here, kind of very flowy, which is nice. The two-piece helmet, of course, take that off. There's his head underneath. And I've said this before when I reviewed this figure, is I like that face print, but I felt like he just looks like a normal dude. I think Darth Vader's skin tone is more in between white and light grey, but since LEGO, you know, they've done light grey in the past, now they're going for white. Ultimately, either one is fine. I just think, yeah, he just looks kind of like a normal dude. I don't know. There is some printing with some scars around the back for him. And then the lightsaber with the metallic hilt and the frosted lightsaber blade here. Not the more transparent one they used to do. But I prefer this one because it looks like it's got more of a glow to it in certain lighting conditions. Good printing on the outfit here. Continues onto the hips and on the legs. And then same for the torso there. But that's nice. The arm printing is really what makes it. Like, LEGOs are just very hit and miss and pick and choose with what figures get leg printing, what figures get arm printing. I wish I knew the reasoning behind it, because if they can do it for one figure, why not do it for all of them, honestly? I feel like that's just the way forward, because otherwise people just swap theirs out for custom parts anyway, so LEGO just do it all. But otherwise it's a pretty good figure. And last, by no means least, it's Gonk Droid. Yes, this is a pretty good Gonk Droid in my opinion. You can take the top off and put something in there if you really wanted to. Uses this printed container piece, if I can get that off. There you go. So it's got printing around all sides, which is a pretty nice piece to get actually. So I can just go on there. Yeah, I like the way they did the legs. That's pretty cool. And whilst we're doing some small things, let's take a look at the side build. This little cart, just kind of refill up with the bombs here. Basic design, but pretty nice, and they just kind of sit loosely in there. They're not clipped in, so they could fall out and about. Got some of these inverted tiles here, so we can just kind of glide along as if it's slightly hovering off the ground. The minifigure can stand on there. Yeah, not bad really. Guess they had leftover parts budget and they decided to go for this. But the main thing you're paying for is obviously the TIE Bomber itself. And let's see. Oh, it is honestly kind of smaller than I expected it to be. I don't know, just when I was building, especially the main centre sections here, I felt like they were going to be bigger, but I love how they've got this cylindrical look and how it's so curved and smoothed off, which is an interesting contrast to how studdy the wings are. Studdy, is that a word? How many studs are on show here? Like, that's nice and tiled, but I feel like it's kind of a bit old school, a bit dated look, if I'm honest, especially with how smooth the rest of it is. They leave so many studs on show. Like, I don't mind studs being on show, especially with the black gear. It's a nice mix of tiles and studs. I feel like some of this light grey should have been definitely some studs, especially if you compare it to the tie interceptor. You know, if you want to put them two side by side, the tie interceptor looks a bit more sleek with its wings. And there were no stickers in this set, so obviously this dish piece is a print. This dish here is a print as well. These aren't stickers, thank God for that. But also, I think they're the only two prints as well, apart from the couple little ones for the consoles inside. The back looks a little simplified, but clean and modern in a way. And then again, you've got all the anti-studs, which I'm not bothered by. It is what it is. You're not going to expect LEGO to cover these in tiles. That's just a bit unrealistic for this, I suppose. It's part of the LEGO charm. Then I guess you could say that about all the studs on show over here. Now, despite the size of this craft, it can only fit one minifigure, and it is a very tight fit at that. So you can open up the cockpit, lift up that's how that all comes together, and the minifigure pops inside there. So let's just put our TIE pilot in there, and yeah, you'll see how snug it is, because there really isn't a lot of room. I feel like when I was building it, there could have been more room in here, and yeah, look at that, his helmet fits in that gap. His hands fit nicely on the console, on the controls there. Well, that kind of all comes down. Oh, and even this is a snug, like, come on, get in there, get in there. If I move his gun, I probably should take his gun off actually. There we go. And it comes down, although maybe it's just me, but I've had trouble trying to close it up all the way. Like, it just opens out. And I've checked all the parts and kind of wiggled things around, but I'm still having that issue where, I don't know, it's not too bad. You can't notice it from the front, but I know it's there. Another issue is you can't see the minifigure through the windscreen, just due to the way it's built. If I take this part off, which also can be a little flimsy at times. Yeah, that can kind of fall off if you're not careful lifting it up. But yeah, it's attached by this onto there, so there's no way for the minifigure to actually look through. And I'll be honest, that kind of bugs me. I like to be able to see the minifigure through the windscreen. It just feels more, you know, real. But the fact he can't is a bit disappointing. Although I have seen some modifications on Rebrickable where people have fixed it. So that'd be interesting to see, and I might have to check those out. Maybe make a video on it and fix this so I can see my wonderful TIE pilot through the windscreen, because that's just a little bit disappointing. Just behind it is, if I can get it off, no, I can't, but underneath is just a black, oh yes, there you can see some black elements behind it, black brick, just so it looks nice and dark, but a bit of disappointment. I guess you could see through that hole, if that counts. Yeah, not going to see much through that though, are you? One thing I'm surprised this doesn't have is any spring-loaded shooters to fire out bolts at the front, or even bolts down to act as the bombs. But it does have a couple of stud shooters, so you can use those if you want, and they kind of blend in. So if you're not a fan of stud shooters, it just looks like extra greebling detail in there. They're not kind of really horribly placed on the top or something where they stick out like a sore thumb. It's nicely embedded in there. I really like this, just the way they did that. That's a nice detail, good parts usage. But the bombing mechanism is, well, almost like a flick fire missile, I suppose. These are the bombs here, and yes, maybe this being on show might bother you, but otherwise you just push down on that. Let me show you the underside first. So there you can see they're all there, ready to fire down below. And you can just kind of, there you go, drop them all, or try and do one at a time. There's another one, and that's how that works. And here it is next to the TIE interceptor, just so you can get an idea of size and scale. I would say it's probably a little bit smaller in scale, but not too bad. Like, you're not really going to notice it. Otherwise they go together quite nicely. But as you can see, what I mentioned about the TIE interceptor, its wings being a bit more tiled off, whereas the TIE bomber's just got a few more studs. Like, if I was going to change anything, yeah, put a few more tiles on there. And of course make the windscreen so you can see through it, and maybe cover up the bomb, like just put a tile, like a hatch on there. And here it is alongside Mando's M1 Starfighter, Shin Hati's Starfighter, obviously our TIE bomber, which actually looks a bit small now, doesn't it, compared in amongst all these three. I still like it though. Now this TIE bomber set has a retail price of £60 here in the UK. I've also seen it 45 elsewhere. If you can get it for 45, great. Any less, even better. But I don't think it's worth £60, even though it's got 3 decent minifigures. Well, maybe 1 or 2, or it comes with minifigures, and the side builds do add some more kind of play and display value to it. I just feel like what we get here isn't worth £60 to me, especially where you could get the TIE Interceptor versus the Mandalorian Fang Fighter for £90, so for an extra £30 you get a whole other ship, and you know, I would rather have that than this, but I do like it. But yeah, don't pay £60 for it. It isn't that good. What do you guys think about it? Are my opinions wrong? Tell me in the comments, and I'll see you all in the next LEGO review. Bye for now. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to check out the other videos on this channel or on one of my other channels as well. And of course, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe and share with your friends.